What's going on, guys? It is episode 2 of the phenomenal podcast. I have a good friend here, Kevin Tang. We work together.
Cool.
I asked him if he wanted to come on the pod, and he was pretty excited. I'm excited to have you as guest number 2.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's good.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, that's what he told me. I was like, hey, would you be interested in a podcast? He's like, dude, I've always wanted to do a podcast, never been able
Yeah.
to. So excited for this. Just to give everyone who is listening or watching, there is a video version of this. I'm trying out a completely new software program to record this podcast. So I'm hoping it goes well. Kevin and I were tinkering around with some things before we started, but it's so far so good from what I can tell.
Yeah, if the video is messed up, we can just put like still shots of us and like just poorly animate it. I think that would go really well.
That would go really well. All right, Kevin, you want to give a quick introduction of who you are, how we know each other, what you think of me, anything other fleeting thoughts?
I like like what you think of me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll go for it. Name's Kevin Tang. I'm a software engineer by trade. I guess a hobbyist video game developer, singer, music producer, a lot of weird things. Before software engineering, I was a video game developer. I got a job working with virtual reality and all of that. But currently, working as a regular software engineer. Steven and I are coworkers. So that's how we met, just as coworkers. And like, I'm super thrilled to be here. Honestly, like, I was like thinking about it, like, I'm super honored to be like number 2
Yeah.
on the podcast. Like number 1 being like your childhood friend and all of that. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be like the first one, but hey, after that, I'm totally flattered. So I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you listened to the first episode. It hasn't been released yet, so no one else has listened to it, but I sent it to Kevin to let him get like a, hey, here's kind of how it went. Here's the forum that I'm thinking. It's just an authentic forum. We're just going to have a conversation. So I'm glad that you liked it. And I'm glad you feel honored to be number 2. After number 1, because he was like, hey, this is kind of where this idea stemmed from. I was like, I really, whoever's available next, I'm just sending it. I'm trying to get, it's March 9th now. I have no clue when these are going to air. I'm going to try to get 10 recorded and then be able to post them every week while I continue to record with people. So however long it takes to get 10 of these episodes down, and I have no clue, there's no time limit on them. We can talk as long as we want to until one of us has to do something, or if we run out of things to say,
Fair enough.
Right. So I'm really excited to have you on board. Thanks for being so excited to join and to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Enthusiastic participants make it easier, So that's good. Like Kevin said, we work together. We have been colleagues for two years now. 2 years now. I started,
which is somehow like both longer and shorter than what it feels like.
I know. It's like time is weird. Since COVID, we talked about this in my last episode, but time is just a strange concept. Since COVID, it's just everything seems so, and maybe it's because we're getting older, so like time it doesn't seem as long as it used to be. But it's been 2 years since we've known each other. Kevin was a great addition to our team. I only started there like 2 or 3 months before you did. So
we joined like roughly around the same time, which I think is one of the reasons why like we bonded really closely, not just as like worker friends, but also just like regular friends as well.
Right. I think it's rare that unless you were referred by someone to start working and you were friends beforehand, it's kind of rare to actually enjoy a colleague's company outside of work.
Definitely.
It's like I see you enough. I interact with you enough. I don't know if we really need to be like friends. There are other people we work with who I wouldn't mind hanging out with outside of work, but I do appreciate that we've actually become friends, which is great.
Yeah, same. And there is like that big distinction between like a work friend and then like friend.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed. You came to my birthday party. I've been to your house for was that a Halloween party? Oh yeah, because everyone was
It
dressed
was
up
either
and I
Halloween
was
or Thanksgiving.
I was
I don't
not dressed
remember.
up, and it was for Halloween because I came from somewhere else, and I came and everyone was dressed up, and I was just in like a quarter zip and khaki shorts, and I was like, "Yep,
Hey,
bye."
that's okay. Not everyone was dressed up. Some people just like to go hard for Halloween. And
Yeah,
you know what? I respect that.
Halloween is one of those holidays that people just really like to go all out for. Um,
Yeah, and it's great.
it is great. Yeah. All right. You went to Georgia Tech uh,
Yeah,
for both. Was it undergrad and graduate? You have a master's degree from Georgia Tech too?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I went 4 years undergrad straight into 2 years master's program.
Would you do the same thing over?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess so to give some context, the reason why I did it was almost like because it was like the path of least resistance in a way.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
because
your
so
undergraduate degree in?
my undergraduate degree is in computational media,
Okay.
which is also what I got my master's degree in. It's sort
Okay.
of like a part way. It's like half and half, half computer science, half video game design.
Hmm.
I started actually as a straight up computer science major, and then
Right.
switched halfway through after I took a particularly difficult like data algorithms class, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
At
So then
Tech
I
too, because
switched
yeah,
at Tech.
yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, so then I switched halfway through, and so that's what I ended up graduating with.
Okay.
But it's funny, and we can go into this later. So like, I ended up, I'm just back as a straight up software engineer.
Right. Well, I mean, you know my path, right? Like, I,
Yeah.
yeah. So I started as a computer science major at Kennesaw. Um, I took one programming class, and it was a weird. It was a hybrid class, and the labs were in person, and class was online. And it wasn't like you attended an
Oh,
online
yeah.
class and like the professor was teaching and you were there. No, it was like online in the fact that like I had to watch pre-recorded lectures and then like
Ooh.
do homework and things like that based on that. So one, I didn't realize that's what the class was, like what that was the structure of the class. Two, I wasn't mature enough to understand how to do school that way for something that was so brand
Yeah.
new. Um,
Hmm.
so like, because I mean, it's you're literally learning a different language, you're learning a different way of thinking. It's a lot of different.
Oh, it's wild.
It
Yeah.
is. It's very wild. So I took my first programming test and I turned it in. I don't even think I took two steps out the door before I had pulled my phone out to withdraw from the class before like academic penalty. Um, so I never got the grade for what the test was. I just know that I probably got a zero. Like it was so hard because one, I didn't know how to study, I didn't know what I was doing and whatnot. So changed my major immediately, switched to marketing. Uh, did that for like a year, and then I lost the Hope Scholarship because I still didn't know how to study in college, and ended up taking classes online, getting my my bachelor's degree in leadership and ministry because I thought I was going to be a pastor for a while, and then I realized, you know what, I actually did want to be a computer scientist, software engineer, so
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
went
Nice.
back to get my master's degree, and here we both are.
Yeah.
Um, looking
And there's all
back,
sorts of different paths that people can
oh,
take, so it
absolutely.
all works.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking back, um, I chose being a like I wanted to be an engineer out of college or like out of high school. That's why I chose it because people said it you make a lot of money right away.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was my primary focus coming out of high school. But I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. I wanted to get your opinion on that. Like, if someone in high school was like, "Hey, I want to be a software engineer because I'm going to make a lot of money right away," what would you say to them?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's almost like a couple of different ways to like answer that because one, going back to like even the first question of like, would I ever recommend people doing like undergraduate straight into masters as well?
Yeah.
So like answering that question first, and then because I feel like that segs a little bit into
Okay.
like how good it is how good it's purported to be like a software engineer and stuff like that.
Right.
Because senior year of undergraduate, I was like applying for kind of basically any job in both like video game development and software engineering thing. Just straight computer science, software engineer, back end focus for the most part. My focus wasn't really front end or anything. And then any kind of like game development job that was also being listed at the time, and I like couldn't get anything.
Yeah.
So like in a way, it did end up being the case. Like now, like I'm in a position and like I am making good money. I do think that is there, but I feel like while that is true, like as a software engineer, you will make good money and you'll also have many opportunities to like advance your career and get promotions and things like that. I feel like so many people undersell like actually kind of how difficult it is to get the job in the first place, because it's not what it was, especially 4 or 5 years ago. Now more than ever, it's pretty hard as a software engineer to get a job. It's not the strictest job market, but it's definitely not just like snap, boom, you have a job immediately.
Right. The field has definitely become saturated because like everyone was looking at it, it's like, oh, if you want to make money right out of college, go into tech. Like that was the thing that people were saying.
Right.
And so now there's so many people who know how to code, and a lot of people know basic SQL now too. Like it's it helps you get a lot farther in any job, I feel like. So the market is definitely saturated. It is hard to get a job, and coding interviews are so annoyingly tough. So I'm lucky. My first job, my first programming job, engineering job I got while I was still finishing my master's degree. It was a company that basically their new like strategy was just to hire people out of college that they could pay at under market rate, basically. And so like that interview, they didn't ask me one single technical question. They didn't ask me anything. They just were like asked me about myself and what I was doing and whatnot. And so it got me in the door, which led me to where I am now, which is great. But I've never interviewed with like one of the big companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple.
I have once, yeah.
Netflix and Google, right? Fang, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Tell me about your Amazon interview.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good segue into that topic, because of those like the big companies, like the big software tech giants, Amazon's the only one that I've done that was part of like that like senior round of interviews that I was trying to do, and it sucked. I hate it. I just generally kind of hate coding interviews. Like I have a bone to pick with coding interviews.
Absolutely.
But like Amazon's in particular was brutal, and it was one of those that I think the main interview day was literally 5 hours long for back-to-back hour and some change interviews. And it's just designed to like wear you down to the bone,
right?
Which like is just so brutal. Like just even a single coding interview is already like pretty rough, and then you try to do 4 back to back, and it's by the end of it I was completely just mush.
Were they in person?
No, that one was online.
Okay.
But I do think after that there was going to be an in-person one as well. So that I didn't even make it past that stage.
Yeah, those interviews are so tough, and they make them so long. Like the whole process. Like it's crazy. Our current company, it was a pretty streamlined process.
It was,
in my opinion, which was great. Like, and I like what we're working on. I haven't found a need to go interview for a new job or anything like that, but talking about it with people makes me be like, maybe I should just be doing it, even if I don't want to leave. I should just be doing it for the practice because like they are so brutal.
Yeah. It's really intimidating.
Yeah, yeah. I get anxious. When I was applying for jobs, like where this round that I got my current job, when I was applying for other ones too, uh, one person sent me an online coding interview to do, like one of those timed ones where they ask you ridiculous questions and things like that. And I just
Hmm.
like didn't even open the email. I was like, I have no, I just have no desire to even like put myself through that right now.
Right.
And I just never came back around to it. Um, so, but I think that company actually went out of business. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't
Wow.
do
I mean, like,
it.
yeah, maybe bullet dodged there,
Yeah, right,
actually.
right. So, um, it's just like it's tough. But once you get in, like the problems that you can work on, um, they're fun. They can be challenging. And back to like the financial portion, like I've tell people they're like, oh, sometimes I tell people it's like, oh, I'm a software engineer. They're like, oh, you must make great money. And I was like, I mean, like I make a good living. Like, you know,
Right.
I'm not
Right.
struggling for anything between
Hmm.
me and Josie's income together. Like we can do anything we want to do. Um, you know, like we're not struggling by any means, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. And I think it's just like, it comes with time. Like, you know,
Right.
a 15 to 20-year veteran engineer, principal engineer, they're probably making pretty good money. You
Hmm.
know, and so like, I kind of got to keep reminding myself that. And anybody who's going into the space, that's what I would tell them is like, hey, you'll probably make like an okay salary coming out of college, that's competitive or whatnot, and it'll probably help you be able to get an apartment somewhere and be able to do fun things. But like, I don't think it's the same as it was even 5 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
so
I think
unless
I
you get
think
a
now
job,
it's
oh sorry, I was
no,
gonna
no,
say
go
unless you
ahead.
get a job at like one of those five companies that we like, Facebook, Amazon,
Hmm.
Apple, Netflix, Google. There's probably some more now, um, but that's really what people talk about. It's like, oh, I'm a software engineer, I make a bunch of money. It's because you're working at one of those really big tech firms, uh,
Hmm.
with like crazy stock options and things like that. And people also include their stock options in their salary package, quote unquote.
That's true, yeah.
So
I think once you sort of get, I think it's as you said, a lot of it is about the long-term stability, like the long-term plan and the room for improvement there. But
mhm,
there just is like nowadays more than ever a really big initial hump that you have to get through, like getting your foot in the door.
yeah,
Um, no, not just like the coding interviews and all of that, the interview processing and all that can be pretty rough just by itself. But even like getting that first job, a common sentiment I think a lot of people see is like, oh, I'm a junior developer right out of college, and every job posting is like 1 to 2 years experience minimum
yeah,
for an entry level
that's
job.
a
And it's like,
great point.
how do you even get that? Um, in some, I mean, like in some respects, you just kind of like fudge it. You're like, yeah, I've had 1 to 2 years of experience coding in college,
Yeah,
and you just kind of throw out applications and you
yeah,
just hope that somebody gets back to you. But like that was probably of anything of like all the potential benefits of like going through and getting a master's and spending like another year or two getting your master's.
mm,
The most important part there is like finding connections.
right,
And you can certainly do that as well in undergrad, but masters, at least in my experience, and maybe this is just more personal to like the particular program I was in,
mhm,
had a pretty big focus on like actually reaching out and trying to get connections both in school, out of school, with like local companies, local startups.
mhm,
Um, and so finding that connection is sometimes, I mean, like can be very difficult. It's an entirely different skill from like technical skills.
yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, and I think those skills will help you if I don't know how many people are listening that want to be software engineers or are software engineers or anything like that, but no matter what industry you're in, knowing how to talk to somebody and like converse and network will get you ahead in life in general. Doesn't matter what you're
Yeah,
doing.
definitely.
So that's a good point. Is in general, because I mean, and if you are an engineer, if you know how to converse with people and you have personal skills, that's another step up. Because
Absolutely.
we work with some
Like
weird
that's like the
people.
part that they never test in coding interviews. Like so I understand that in coding interviews they got to test your technical skills. Like,
Yeah,
do you know Java? I mean, really, the only way to test do you know Java is to throw some Java problems at you. So
right.
I understand, like, maybe you need a round or even like 2 rounds of some actual technical coding interviews. But
Yeah,
so much of the work that we do day to day is not like technical. It's,
it's
communication.
managing a project, managing a ticket that you're working on, finding requirements. I mean, this is such a broader topic. It's just like communication with other people. If you learn how to do that, you can succeed in life in every area
Hmm.
of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, personal relationships, a marriage, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, work, just common everyday walking down the street. If you're a nice person, I think you get more out of life. And if you know how to, take advantage of that. So
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's like more fun.
that's
I
true.
mean,
That's a great point.
it's like yeah, I certainly find some amount of like professional enjoyment from like coding a particular method like really efficiently or doing it in a way that I think will be very maintainable
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. But most of my actual enjoyment from work and really life is like the human connection. It's like
Yeah.
working together with you. And, if we collaborate on some project or if I send you a question, you're like, Steven, I don't know what the fuck this method is doing. Can you please explain? Like,
And then I say, me neither, Kevin. Did you ask ChatGPT?
yeah. Uh, yeah, sometimes it's a struggle, but we
Yeah.
make it through.
Yeah, it's really good having people like you and our other teammates as well. Like we work with some great people that we can
Yeah.
bounce things off of. And the most fun that I've had recently at work is in this new big project that we're working on, building out a completely new API for
Hmm.
our suite of products that our company offers, and getting to interact with our team and make some like big decisions that are going to last a long time until it needs to be
Oh
upgraded
yeah.
again. And all of us working together has been awesome.
Hmm.
Writing the code and everything's been fun, but us all being able to like, hey, I think this makes more sense, and here are my reasons why. And someone coming back and being like, point A is great, point B is okay, point C I don't agree with, and here's why. And like being able to build a great product and lay a solid foundation has been so much fun, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely, and I feel like maybe this is just a tech thing. And
yeah,
sometimes I feel like there's the idea that like software engineers, especially back end developers, are like solo developers, like
yeah,
completely alone and
yeah,
isolated. But like that's just not true at all.
no,
It's like there is like almost nothing that I like do at work that's truly alone. Like I'm always communicating, I'm
mm-hmm.
always collaborating with someone.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
so
point.
those skills are very important to develop.
Absolutely. I don't know how much if we've bored everybody with software engineer talk, but I mean, that's how we know each other. That's we've known each other for 2 years because of it. I want to
Yeah.
you on the side, still software engineering part, but you are working on a video game. Uh,
Yes,
you're
that's
creating
right.
one with a couple friends. That's really cool. Uh, do you talk about that? Like, when do you think it'll be ready for public play? Do you have a date for that or a estimated timeline?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the estimated timeline is like very rough estimate. We're
Sure.
always pushing things back because
Yeah.
like all three of us are just like regular software engineers by day. And
Right.
then it's just like by night, we're just like, yeah, I guess I'll work on the game.
Right. Right.
Honestly, I feel like sometimes we just use that as an excuse, like, yeah, let's go get Korean barbecue and work on the game.
That's yeah, absolutely.
I know it's fun. We're currently developing a game called Connection, which is a 2D puzzle platformer. Depending on when this comes out, we may or may not have our Steam page up for it already. So, uh,
So like
whenever this comes out, if people want to put it on their wish list and stuff like that, help us get a few more eyes on it. I mean, I would super appreciate it.
that's cool.
Yeah. So this year, we've been working on it on the side for a few years now since out of college. So I met these guys in college at the end of senior year in undergrad after like our game studio class.
Mm.
And one of the guys on the team at that time, he just kind of went around with the class to the class at the end of the semester and was just pitching this game idea and was like, anyone want to like continue working on games outside of class, like outside of college? And I was like, yeah, sure. And again, like, one reason was like I did want to work on games and stuff like that. And two, like I had sort of interacted with these people in the class, but it was one of those things like I wanted to maintain that connection and see if it ever blossomed into anything more, which in this case, in this particular case, it did. One of the guys on that game team is part of our team, and he was the one who helped me get an interview initially for this company.
Right. One person that Kevin works with on the game, we both work with at our current job. Right.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And it's just you and two other people, right? It's just the three of y'all working on it.
Yeah. At this point, it's just the three of us.
Yeah,
we
cool.
started with 5 and then two. Yeah, we started with 5, but then two other guys, they dropped out basically in the first year after realizing like they weren't like as passionate about it. They weren't, didn't have the time and stuff like that. So, which is completely understandable.
Completely understandable.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like working on projects outside of work, it's really tough. Like I have so many ventures that I'm working on outside of work, hoping that one sticks and one, anything to make a little extra money on the side. And in today's economical climate, it's important. But geez, like finding the time and maintaining a balance between all the things is really tough. So the fact that you guys are that close to being actually having your game like almost published, able to be put out on the, like have it for a wish list item on Steam, like that's really cool. And like huge props to all of you guys.
Thank you. Yeah. It's something that's sort of crazy because we've been working on it for quite a while. And like, I think like a year or two ago, we were like, oh, dude, we're so close. We can almost put out a demo. And here we are like a year or two later, we're like, still working on this demo.
You guys had something like some type of playthrough last year, right? I was out of town for it, so I couldn't come, but like
we had a playtesting session, so we wanted to get some feedback since it like we had held like maybe individual things and sent it out to a couple people, but this time we wanted to sort of make an event out of it because we felt like we were at a pretty big milestone in terms of like our gameplay was really solid, we felt, and we also had a good number of levels put together, and so we wanted to do like a really formal playtesting session. So we all gathered together at one guy's house, invited a bunch of our friends over, ordered some food, and we're just like trying to in particular get feedback from a wide array of people, both people who like played a lot of games and people who had played like literally no games ever.
That's so important, is having like that non-biased feedback. Because I mean, when we were just trying to develop an app, and I tried to send it to as many people as I could, and I had Josie send it to all her friends, and they're all nurses, and it was like overwhelmingly, they actually all responded because they're those type A type of people. And so like we're reading through like these responses of this survey that we sent out, and all these responses were like pretty similar, and we're like, this doesn't really go with the vision that we wanted. We were thinking, but it was like, like maybe we pivot, or maybe we just take into account that like this was a large majority of the similar type of person.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that you went all the way across uh, the spectrum. What was like the
Yeah.
overall feedback that you got? Were people like it or?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people thought it was fun, but
Mhm.
the thing, and I feel like this is pretty true for a lot of game development in general, is like, especially as all three of us are like pretty big game enthusiasts, or big
Right.
gamers as they call it.
Gamers.
Like
Gaming.
gaming. We obviously were also very familiar with our game, and so
Right.
we recognized that we were experts of the game as the developers naturally.
Hmm.
So we did try to make, like, levels of difficulty,
Hmm.
and also make certain harder difficulty levels optional things as well in the final design.
Hmm.
But even the things that we thought were like the easier ones were not as easy as we expected them to be.
Oh, okay.
And like, obviously, like, especially for like the people who had not played very many video games, is difficult. But even for the people who were slightly experienced, it wasn't just like that the puzzles were too difficult, but almost like the levels were too long. And
Oh,
so one
okay.
of our big things was not just like sort of simplifying some of the puzzles and maybe taking some puzzles out, and shifting up like their difficulty in our internal notes, but also breaking our levels up into smaller, more digestible chunks as well. I think that
Interesting.
was probably our biggest change from that.
That's great feedback.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was super happy with that playtesting session. So just goes to show for everyone out there, it's like you will design something in mind. You'll have some great plan for how it's all going to play out, and it's not going to play out that way. It never plays out the way you expect it to.
That reminds me of that like meme or GIF or whatever, where like this like product designer or UX designers is like, I designed this beautiful dashboard for a user to be able to do everything correctly, and it's like someone with one of those child games where you take the shapes and put them in like the circle. The circle goes in the circle, the star goes
Uh-huh.
in the star, and like the way it was designed, obviously the user is supposed to know that like this shape goes in this hole because it's the same shape. But the person just kept
Hmm.
taking all the shapes and putting them through the square because they all fit there.
Yeah.
And you just see like the product designer being like, no, no, like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. Like, so
Yeah.
it's always that way. Like
Hmm.
we built a beautiful website for my brother's car detailing company, and I got a text from them the other day. Someone sent him a screenshot, says, "Yo, your site is confusing," and I was like, "Ah, oh, man,
Yeah.
I tried so hard
Tried so hard.
to
Yeah.
make it like as easy to use as possible." But there's things that we can definitely work on. But still, like hearing that it's just confusing, like it was a stab to the heart. It's like,
Yeah.
darn. I know it's not like perfect, but like I thought it was, simple enough.
Thought it was at least usable,
All right.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but all right. Next topic, food. You're a big foodie. You love
Yum.
to cook. You love.
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
you like so like there's different types of cooking, and then there's baking. Like what is your like what do you love to do in that area the most?
Ooh. I mean, like, in general, I love all types. I'm definitely trying to get more into baking, so that's not like
Mm-hmm.
my specialty.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that like I want to get more into. But for the most part, I would say my cooking is more, I guess, savory. I guess like dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, just like regular meals. So
Mm-hmm.
for some context, my family owns a restaurant, and so it's a Chinese restaurant, and so that's where like a lot of my background comes from. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
not even like specifically getting taught by my parents, but just watching my mom cook dinner and all those things, and
Yeah.
absorbing that knowledge. And then I also just started watching like a bunch of food content on YouTube, specifically like how to cook and all that. And then it just became this thing where I was super, super into cooking. I just love like
Yeah.
making food and then enjoying it myself. Like that's the best
You
part
don't
to
even
me
make it for
is
people. You just enjoy make it for yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy making it for other people. Like, I do like it, but like the main thing is like I make food that I want to eat,
Yeah,
that I like to eat,
that
right?
that I, makes sense. Uh, yeah, I just smoked a brisket. I know you know, but for the viewers, the listeners,
Yeah.
I just smoked a brisket last weekend. I made a vlog about it. It's on my YouTube channel. But I told Kevin about it, and he's like, dude, I am so down to make cooking content with you. If you want to start
Yeah,
doing that. And I was like, sure, man. Like, Finn,
dude, yeah.
Finn does stuff. I'm doing all types of things. So if we want to start, if we want a niche of that, a sub niche of that being cooking with Kevin, that's
Oh,
that's great. That's actually pretty. That's not
it
a bad
works. The
idea.
name works. The name
Yeah,
works.
Finn cooking with Kevin. There you go. Should we call it
Yeah.
cooking with a K for the alliteration?
I don't know about that one. We good. Let's workshop that one.
That was his polite way of telling me that was a really dumb idea.
Well, what about I just change my name so that my name just starts with C. That way it works like that.
Okay, there we go. Do you have a Chinese name? I don't know if I asked you this.
I do, yes. It's not on any like, it's not like a legal name or
Oh,
anything
okay.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Cantonese, and if anyone here is listening speaks Cantonese, just mute for like 5 or 10 seconds because my pronunciation is so bad. But my Chinese name is Gaming.
Okay.
But
Gaming.
nobody, yeah, basically gaming. Yeah, it's all full circle. My parents knew. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I have it. It's mostly just there, just to have it. Nobody calls me that in my family. There's a
Oh,
couple
your
people in my
parents
family
don't
who
even
do.
call you that.
No, they typically just call me son,
Okay.
which
Okay.
works because I'm the only son in the family.
That makes
So,
sense. There you go. Nice.
but yeah,
Your
like
parent. How
with
long have your parents had their restaurant?
ooh, so actually, my dad likes to tell this story a lot, and my
Okay.
mom has corroborated it. It is true because apparently the day I was born, my
Oh,
dad wasn't in the hospital room because he was signing the lease for the restaurant.
wow.
Yeah.
Has it
So
been in
the
the same
restaurant is
location the
as
whole
old
time?
as me.
That's
Yeah,
very
same
cool.
location the whole time. Yeah.
Wow.
So the restaurant, and this is also, I guess, saying my age, the restaurant is 26 years old. So
You're not very old.
yes,
But for a restaurant,
not
that's
yet.
pretty old.
Yeah. And so this restaurant, no, they obviously worked in restaurants before this one, but this
Mhm.
is like this is their restaurant.
Yeah,
They
that's
own
really
it.
cool.
It's our family's. And it's 26 years old and it's still going strong. I mean, it's more popular than ever now, really. It's
That's crazy. And it's
yeah.
closing this year.
Yeah.
So,
They're getting to that age where they gotta retire. I'm telling them, I'm like, I'm stable now. Like I've
yeah.
got a job. It
Yeah.
pays well. Please retire.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's where my passion for food, at least like cooking for myself and
Mhm.
learning about cooking came from was, I mean, from a young age, um, they would sit me down in the restaurant, after school and stuff like that, because there'd be no one at home, so
Right.
they couldn't trust me and my sister to be at home yet. So we would just sit in the restaurant, and then naturally they're like, "Well, don't just sit there, work." And I'm like, "Okay."
You don't be lazy.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm doing my homework.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, okay, do your homework. Yeah.
And then work.
And then work. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. What's
But,
your favorite?
just watching them cook. Hmm?
Oh no, you finish that.
Yeah. I was going to say, just like watching them cook and watching the food there, that's what sort of sparked my initial passion for learning how to cook myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Josie and I are going to need to go before the restaurant closes. But
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll need to do that. I want to know your favorite meal to cook if you have one.
Ooh, my favorite meal. I feel like, okay, I'm going to answer that in two ways.
Okay.
One, my favorite meal to try to cook, in that it's like the one that I'm trying to pursue.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to master and
Yeah.
get to the pinnacle is fried rice.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, it's one of those. It's like an endless rabbit hole. You can
Okay.
like go so deep in trying to get like the perfect fried rice where every grain of rice is like perfectly fried and it's not sticky. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, there's just one of those things. And maybe it's just because like I'm a bad cook, or my setup's not great, but it's one of those where I'm just like I'm never happy with it.
Kevin, let me pause you really fast. You can continue in your second point, but you do this a
Yeah.
lot. You say that you're not good at something, and that's such a lie. Like, he tells me he's not a good engineer. He's way better than I am. He's way smarter than
That's
me.
not true at
Yeah.
all.
Oh, yes, it
We're
is.
good in different areas.
Sure, but I think you just. Sorry, we're gonna circle back again. It's crazy how easy it is to tell who a good engineer is based on a conversation you have with someone. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you just talk to certain people as like, geez, like, you are like leaps and bounds ahead of where I ever want to be, you know?
Right.
And so that's, sorry, side note. But yeah, I'm sure I've had some of your food. It's very good. You're a good cook. So,
Well, thank
okay,
you.
you're welcome. Point two,
Yeah.
after fried rice.
So I guess after that, ooh, my favorite one that I enjoy eating.
You make for yourself
Uh-oh.
because you enjoy eating it the most.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Honestly, it's a pretty simple one, but I think one of my favorites is just like an omelet,
Okay.
because
What do you put in your omelet?
eggs are. Ooh, I feel like my go-to would be like the classic Tom omelet, tomato, onion, mushroom.
Okay.
Sometimes with cheese, sometimes
Yeah.
not.
Okay. Nice.
And I do it like diner style. For usually, sautéing like your veggies first, and then putting the egg all over it, and then
Yeah.
flipping it like that.
Yeah.
But I like to try like also other omelet styles as well.
Okay.
But it's another one of those things where it's such a simple sounding thing, like just egg,
Right.
just cook it,
Right.
forehead.
For
But but it's another one of those things where it's like so, because it's so simple, it really just like shows off like how good you are, like baseline level
Mhm.
as a cook, with very simple things like like panhandling skills, like how do you control your temperature and all of that.
Yeah.
So for me, like that perfect omelet is like you got a little bit of browning, a little, just like a little bit of crispiness on the outside, but you're still kind of
Oh yeah.
just barely set, almost creamy on the inside. So when I hit that like perfect one, I'm like, yes,
Man,
this is it.
I'm getting hungry. It is lunchtime now. I'm gonna. uh,
I'll make you an omelet next time.
Dude,
Here,
please, that'd be great. Question for you: cooking rice.
Yes.
As
Ooh.
a Chinese man, I do come
Yes.
to you. I've asked you questions about rice before, but I have another one. We just saw something about how you should put coconut oil in your rice. Do you do that?
I have never heard of that before.
Oh, okay. It's something about how it helps break down like some of the grain or the starch in the rice, so that it's easier to
Interesting.
digest. I don't know all the science. Josie sent me something about it that she saw, so I was just wondering if that was something that you do.
No, I'm like super interested in it though. Like food science in particular
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why I love cooking so
Right.
much, because like the science behind food is so fascinating.
Right.
And then being able to take these like theoretical scientific concepts and then apply them in practice, literally,
Mhm.
like right now, you just go to your kitchen and you try out some of these techniques, and
Yeah.
then you figure out how to incorporate that into your normal routine, your set of techniques.
Yeah.
To just incrementally improve your cooking. That's such a it's such a great feedback loop for me. I think that's why I'm so passionate about cooking.
Absolutely. We've been cooking a lot more, just because we've been trying to eat healthier, because processed food and eating out is so bad for you. All the extra chemicals and things like that they're putting that's in our food nowadays. So we've been trying to get organic foods and locally sourced meats and things like that, and then cooking it at home. And so it's been fun to experiment with some things. Josie loves to do it. I don't mind cooking, but it's not something that like I really like enjoy to do. Sometimes to me it's more mature than anything else. But Josie loves finding recipes on Instagram and trying them out. She's trying two this weekend. She's making some type of soup tonight that she saw on Instagram, and then tomorrow she's making a Mongolian beef with broccoli.
Yum. Sounds delicious.
Yeah. And so she's been soaking rice for a while because apparently that's something you should do as well. So
I have heard of that technique before, yes.
Well,
but I personally don't do it. Yeah.
You don't do it. The first question I asked you about rice is if you should wash your rice, and you said yes, you should wash your rice.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. PSA for anyone out there listening: wash your rice, please. It will noticeably better like. Yeah, sorry, I'm losing all my words because this is how passionate I am about this.
Washing your rice.
Yes, like rice is very important to Asian people, and like it's just true. It's just part of our like DNA structure
is rice.
Yeah, wash your rice. It'll wash off the excess starch on the outside and give you a better texture on your rice. It'll make it less gummy, less sticky, so your rice granules are a bit more distinct. And so that's a lot better for me.
Okay. How do you eat rice with chopsticks?
So yeah, a lot of people ask that. They're like, how do you eat rice with chopsticks? And like, really, it's you just kind of shovel it into your mouth. Like,
okay.
Because in a lot of Asian, I guess dinner setups and all of that, at least with my family, we would have rice in a small bowl. Mm-hmm. So when you're eating, you have the bowl of rice in your hand, your chopsticks in the other, and you just kind of just like shovel it into your mouth.
I'm not
like some.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes like the rice itself, like if it is cooked properly, you will be able to pick it up, like pick up individual like clumps of rice. But sometimes if you're just like, if you got some sauce on your rice, you've got some mix-ins with your rice, you just shovel it.
Okay. I didn't.
There's no decorum.
Right. People say to do that, and I was like, that just as an American, it's like that just seems like rude. Like, but like like
slurping
is encouraged in Japanese culture. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So I ask all these questions because we're leaving for Japan in literally 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
I will be on a flight in 3 weeks to Japan.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. So Kevin's also been to Japan before. You spent a while there.
Yeah, I took during college there was a program that was 10 weeks in Japan at a university. So cool. Yeah, and it was there specifically to like learn the language, and basically like immerse yourself in the culture and in the language. So that was a phenomenal experience. Obviously, like, I mean, like it was hard as well because like we were getting into like some more advanced level like language and conversations, but it was also we had time as well to go visit places and eat the food and just try things out, and it was phenomenal.
It's super cool. I've been asking Kevin questions since we decided we were going to go, so that's the only reason why I brought it up. But like every time that we think of something or we see something else, it's like, man, we're only going to be there 12 days, and it is nowhere near enough time.
Oh yeah, there's so much that you could potentially do.
I think we're hitting all the big things, and I'm very excited. But it's like it's a different culture. In so many ways, like, we went to Europe last year. I'd never been. It was my first time traveling across the Atlantic Ocean. But like, you kind of just know about European culture. Like, you know what to expect, like, and even if I can read about Japanese culture and things and stuff, it's just still like seems so different to me. Like their language is so much different. I'm not familiar with it. Like I was familiar with Italian and like, French and things like that. Like I've wrapped my mind around that. But this trip, I don't know anything about really in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a bigger, I guess, culture gap because you're really going, I mean, with going from the United States to Japan, you really are going like halfway around the world. You're going almost as far as you can possibly go.
Right.
So.
Right. the people don't look like me. Like in Europe, people still look like I do. And so like
Right. Yeah.
it's so much different. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to experience like such a different culture. I'm excited for the food, but I'm also kind of scared for some of the things that they eat. Like,
The food.
yeah, uh,
It's good.
I know seafood's never been my big thing. I've gotten a lot better, and I eat more seafood than I used to, but it's still kind of one of those things that makes me like a little like, ooh, I don't know, like, yeah. So
I understand.
I don't know if I'll
I was
like,
actually talking.
I don't know if I could eat like octopus. Yeah, that like freaks me out. Like, I don't know, like,
Right.
I don't know why, but people say it's good, so I don't know.
I like it,
Yeah.
but I also know that like I was talking about this with my partner Emily.
Hmm.
I think she said she would be listening to this. So if you're
Oh,
listening, Emily, I love you. Yay.
nice.
um, like that a lot of people like didn't grow up eating seafood and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and which is not like, especially if you're like landlocked and stuff like that, it's not weird at all. But as somebody who grew up um in like a very seafood heavy environment, like our restaurant is a Cantonese seafood restaurant, so we always had lots of,
Hmm.
not super fresh seafood because we're still having to like import it.
Yeah.
um but we would try to get as fresh seafood as possible, and I was exposed to a lot of seafood from a young age, so
Right.
naturally a lot of my diet included seafood. And like
And rice.
I guess I have had octopus and all sorts of different types of fish, squid, shrimp, shellfish, and I love it all. It's great to me.
Yeah.
But I totally see how somebody who didn't grow up with it would find a number of the things sort of weird about it, like the texture or the
Yeah.
smell, some
I'm a
combination.
big texture person, and so
Mhm.
something looks weird to me, I'm like, it's probably gonna feel weird in my mouth, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. But like, I love like sushi. It's so like, tuna sushi, salmon sushi, um, whitefish. Like, all those are so good to me, and I'm excited to get really fresh sushi and some really good ramen. So
Yeah.
those are
It'll be great. And like, I think it's a great thing where it's like, if you're willing to try it, and like, if
yeah,
you're not willing to try it, that's also totally fine. Like my philosophy with food and all of that is like, you like eat what you enjoy, and what you enjoy is correct. It's
yeah.
like no one's right or wrong about food preferences and things like that.
That's fair.
Um,
I'm willing. I'm
yeah,
going to make sure that I try things. I just don't want to be disrespectful if I don't like something, you know?
sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I understand that.
right? Because that's a thing. That's something that their culture is like big on is respect. And I think if you don't finish your food, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that it can be seen as disrespectful.
Yeah, it can definitely be seen as one. I don't know like really how to heart people take that sentiment. I think it sort of varies
Okay.
individual to individual, but I think really in any culture, it's like when you see people like digging into your food and they finish it with a clean plate, like that always,
Oh yeah,
if I'm cooking food for people, like that just that makes me happy. But
absolutely.
uh speaking personally, like if somebody's like, if they give it an honest try and they're just like,
Yeah,
I just don't really like it, then I completely respect that. And I think
that's fair. Yeah, that's
I
fair.
think that's a sentiment that should be shared by people.
It should be, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that sentiment. So yeah, I'm really excited for that trip. But I think it's another segue into something else you're into is singing. You make some, you've had some YouTube videos of you singing Japanese songs, don't you?
Yes, that's true. You can find me on youtube.com/dudelong.
Dude
Just gonna use
long.
your platform. Thank you.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna subscribe. I don't know if I
um
should have subscribed to you after you subscribed to me the other day, but if I haven't, I'm gonna do that.
all
Um,
right, well, thank you.
can you sing something for us right now?
For us right now, no,
To put
no.
you on the spot.
Don't put me on the spot like that. I am not good at like improving things and stuff like that.
Okay.
That is not my wheelhouse.
All right.
But
Dude
yeah, I
long.
I love singing.
I'm gonna check out your YouTube
Hmm?
page as soon as we finish this.
Yeah, please do. It's one of those things where it's like singing for me, and music in general is one of those things where it's it's like so personal to me, and it's one of those things where I feel like it wasn't influenced by anyone around me. Like it wasn't like, my parents didn't tell me to sing. My friends didn't tell me to sing. It was just something that sort of one day I was like, I really like singing along with
Yeah,
the songs that I like. So
sure.
I want to pursue this. And because of that, it's like so personal and all of that to me. Because it's one of those things where I can confidently like point to it and be like, yeah, this was me. It's a passion of mine.
Mm,
So yeah,
that's
I really enjoy it. And it
yeah, that's really cool.
mhm.
We should do
It's
karaoke
also,
sometime.
ooh, dude, karaoke is great. That is definitely one of my like top tier like activities to do.
Okay. I'm gonna pitch that to Josie. Maybe the four of us should go someday to like an actual karaoke place on like Buford Highway or something
Yeah.
like that. Uh,
Yeah, let's do it. I know a few spots. It'll be great.
I'm sure you do. That's really cool. Do you have any other
Yeah.
hidden
There's
passions?
also I don't know about hidden, but one of the ones that's been very recent has been rock climbing.
Oh,
That
cool.
one's been really fun for me. Yeah.
Nice.
I think I started I guess it's been more than a year now. So I think it's been like a year and a half. Because I guess
Wow.
I started maybe in the year um that I joined the company.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's about right. About a year and a half ago. And it's one of those where I just sort of tried it on a whim
Hmm.
because there was like a gym close to me.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let's just try it, I guess. I've was trying like I always more recently been trying to be like more fit and more like regularly fit,
Yeah.
like incorporating exercise as a routine of my day rather than an exception.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But as a result, like I also wanted to have like a variety of exercises and physical activities that I enjoyed. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just try rock climbing.
That's
And I
cool.
love it.
You do
Yeah,
indoor
it
climbs?
is. Yeah, just indoor climbs. I
Okay.
haven't tried outdoors. That one is a bit
Oh,
intimidating
yeah,
for me.
absolutely.
So I've just been doing indoor, but I have like almost like almost unexpectedly sort of fallen in love with climbing because it's really hooked me. It kept me coming back like week
Yeah.
after week, and then before I knew it, I had a subscription. I've got my own climbing shoes, chalk,
Wow,
like
that's
all my own
cool, man.
equipment. Yeah.
Dude, I love the forearm workout that you get when you like rock
Oh
climb.
yeah.
It's like one of my favorite
Hmm.
feelings. I haven't rock climbed in a long time, but I really liked it. Like when I would do it when I was younger. Um,
Hmm.
that's really cool. That it may not have been hidden to everyone, but it was hidden to me, and I'm glad you shared that with me because that's a
Oh
cool new
really?
passion you have.
I'm surprised honestly that I hadn't mentioned it before, so that's my
No,
bad.
no, I don't know if I've asked, so that's cool. Well, Kevin, I actually have to start running, but Josie needs my help with something. So
Yeah, no
I
worries.
appreciate this conversation. We range from a lot of different things. So listeners got to learn that Kevin is a software engineer, a food enthusiast, loves Japan, sings Japanese songs,
Cooks.
cooks,
Yes.
um, and is a rock climber. We should go climbing together
Yeah, there
too.
you
We'll
go.
do that soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to take you. It'd
let
be fun.
All right, let's do it. Kevin, do you have any last words for the podcast?
I mean, I suppose I just want to reiterate again, like, thanks again for letting me be part of this. I really enjoy content creation, really respect all the things that you're trying to do as well. So I'm all for trying to help out. So
Thanks, man.
I'm
I would love to have
just
you on
very,
again.
very honored to be number two.
Yeah. Number two is a good place. First is the
It
worst.
is,
Second's the
absolutely.
best.
Yeah.
But third's the one with the treasure chest. So, um,
Ooh.
yeah, I'm
I look forward to it.
definitely have you on again when we have breaking news or anything, or just another conversation. That's what this whole forum is supposed to be. Is just authentic conversations with interesting people I know, and we'll continue to meet throughout life. So, I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Would love to come back on again.
We'll
So
send people to Dudelong on YouTube. Do you have anything else that you want to plug if you wanted to?
I mean, I'll reiterate again. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, we'll have our Steam page up for Connection. It's our 2D puzzle platformer game.
Absolutely.
If it's not out on Steam yet, oops.
It's coming soon. I can give.
It's coming soon.
I can give an
Keep
update.
An eye out.
If it once it comes out. If this comes out before then. But that's really cool. I'm really proud of y'all. Proud of you. And I appreciate you coming on, man.
Proud of you too. Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Listeners, I hope you have a great day. I hope you liked this episode. If you could give me a like, a subscribe, a share, those all help me a lot. So, yeah.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. All right. Well, you guys have. We're going to be in a laugh, never-ending laugh cycle. I love y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Bye.